Hello everyone, just a quick channel update before this video gets started. I just rebranded the channel as Autotalks Comics instead of Autotalks Marvel Comics because, we've been talking about a lot of Image comics on this channel as of late. It's not just Marvel, so this rebrand name made sense. So a salute to Autotalks Marvel Comics. Now enjoy the video. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm bringing you week 3 of my weekly Hellfire Gala review series. Of course, this is the series where each and every week of this X-Men Hellfire Gala, I go over all of the issues that came out of, that tie into the Hellfire Gala of the week. So this week we've got 3 different issues. I'm mostly going to be focusing on the important one, which is Planet-Size X-Men #1, and I'm going to be going over the other 2 more quickly this week, but we also have New Mutants #19 and X-Corp #2. The Planet-Size X-Men one, it contains this announcement that has been teased for so long. In the first week of the Hellfire Gala with Marauders #21, we saw basically all of these diplomats and different heroes, all of these humans that have had the chance to come onto Krakoa for this one party, this one night of the Hellfire Gala. We saw their reactions to this big announcement. Then in X-Men #21, for the second week of this Hellfire Gala, we saw everything leading up to it, with Emma Frost about to make this announcement. And then finally in this Planet-Size X-Men #1, it's an amazing issue, it's a big oversized one, and we finally get that announcement. And it's really important to the future of the Marvel Universe, the future of a lot of Krakoan stuff coming up. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off, spoiler warning, I'm going to be getting into spoilers for all 3 of these issues and talking in full details about everything that happens, so just a fair warning in case you're wanting to read these issues before watching this video, go ahead and do that right now. So like I was saying, Planet-Size X-Men issue #1. This is a super great issue. Written by Jerry Duggan with art by Pepe Larraz. They're going to be the creative team on the upcoming X-Men series, but for this issue specifically, we just see it following basically the mutants and the Arakan mutants as well, planning for this change that is going to come, that they're going to announce at the Hellfire Gala. So in case you don't know much about the Arakan mutants, go ahead and check out my video on the Ten of Swords event that I put out like half a year ago at this point, in which I went over all of the Arakan and Krakoan history. But just to put it into short words, basically, the Arakan island is a whole separate island from Krakoa, and in ancient mutant history with Apocalypse and his wife, way back thousands of years ago, the 2 islands split apart after a great war, and the Arakan island, with half of the mutant population, ended up in a different dimension. So in the Ten of Swords event, they had to do a duel against each other, but it ended up resulting in the Arakan mutants coming back onto Earth, and the Arakan island connecting to Krakoa. So this huge flood of just, a whole bunch of new mutants on Earth, millions of new people in the population on Earth, has caused the resources to start dwindling. Nobody was expecting this huge change in population. So they solved that in this issue. I'm going to take this off the stand so I can refresh my memory on all the details, but let's get right into it. So like I was saying, spoilers, definitely a spoiler warning here, but the big announcement that we have is that to solve this problem of the Arakan population, Krakoa is planning to use Mars as their new, home. So they're transforming Mars throughout this issue, using different mutants from Morocco and from Krakoa to basically bend the atmosphere and shape Mars in different ways so that it can be a livable spot for the mutants of Morocco, so that they can go to Mars and they won't be taking up so much population on Earth. So we see Magneto at the forefront of this all. He's kind of the guy behind all of this whole switch. He's taking huge clumps of iron and putting them into the core of Mars, and so that they have a greater gravitational pull, and it also contributes to a bunch of other stuff. All the scientific things that contribute to different atmosphere, what makes us be able to live on Earth. They're trying to do that to Mars. Magneto goes around to Morocco and other different places, trying to find these mutants that he needs. Obviously, all of the different X-Men that we've been introduced to over the years, even with all their powers combined, they don't have all of the necessary, elements that you need to have a livable world. So the creative team here just makes up a few mutants that have those specific powers that they need, that live in Morocco. So Magneto goes and meets them and then brings them to Mars in order to, fulfill all of the rest of the requirements that they need. There's one mutant who basically is full of, I guess, unlimited water somehow, so he cuts himself and then fills an entire ocean with water on Mars. I guess it's not like blood, he just has like unlimited amounts of water in his veins or whatever the actual deal is, but it's a strange like reptilian mutant. And we've got some pretty cool designs by Pepe Larraz in here for some of these new mutants that were introduced from Krakoa. And then we also see that Storm is in charge of the weather. She's creating wind in this new planet. There's kind of a cool segment in which it explains that on Earth, Storm controls the weather. She can shape it in different ways that she wants to, but on Mars, her power is basically limitless because it doesn't really have the same weather type, if it even has weather at all. So she's able to start basically from scratch and just create like the winds of this planet, everything, thunder, rain, and all of that stuff that they actually need. There's also a funny sequence in here where we see Earth's Mars rover from the US government on Mars, and then it just being overtaken by this flood of water from Storm. This just shows how far ahead Krakoa is from the rest of the world, and once they actually announced this big announcement at the Hellfire Gala, a bunch of different diplomats and people from NASA and different companies who have been trying to reach Mars for so long, like they have been in the real world, are like surprised and kind of sad that they weren't able to experiment on this planet more, and now the mutants have already like shaped it to bend to their will so that it can be a livable spot for the Arakan mutants. Another like centipede type looking mutant from Morocco basically sacrifices itself and morphs into a bunch of different things that contribute to the ecosystem of Mars, like different bugs, mushrooms. It creates oxygen and, you know, a whole periodic table, all that different stuff. But this one mutant from Morocco has similar powers to the character Cloak, and he can basically like suck things into this huge cloak that he has and then transport it to a different place, sort of like teleportation through his actual self. So he goes on a huge scale and sucks basically the entire island of Arakan, which was at the time connected to Krakoa, but he's able to suck every single Arakan mutant and literally the entire island in its totality through himself. So they actually do manage in this huge double splash page to transfer the entire island. And then finally, in one final step, they realize that they need like the equivalent of the Sword Station in Arakan. So if you don't know, if you haven't been caught up on the Sword series, basically the Sword Station is this interplanetary defense huge ship that's hovering above Earth that the Krakoans put there. That's their interplanetary defense system. And there's a whole series just called Sword, which has been written by Al Ewing, dedicated to their adventures. Magneto's on that team, Cable, a whole bunch of other characters. But now, since these two islands are so similar, they need to have a similar Sword Station orbiting outside of Mars. So Jamie Braddock, who's now the king of Otherworld, that happened also in Ten of Swords. His powers, he can just manifest things through his mind, make them real. So he basically, Jean Grey implants this idea in his mind, and he takes it quite literally and makes himself pregnant with something, and then suddenly this new Sword Station just bursts out of his belly. They don't show the actual, they don't actually show it happening too much because that would be really graphic, but we see this Sword Station completely outside in space finally as Magneto pulls it out into space so that it's orbiting Arakan. And this Sword Station looks pretty much equivalent to the Earth Sword Station, so yeah, that's just another similarity between Arakan and Krakoa. These two islands are very similar. And that pretty much concludes the Planet-Size X-Men issue. Finally, we see this actually catch up to the Hellfire Gala. There's only a few pages actually set in the Hellfire Gala, despite this issue being an official Hellfire Gala tie-in. It's mostly just the lead-up and every step they needed to take to make Mars a livable environment for these Arakan mutants. So yeah, it was definitely a really interesting issue. By far my favorite issue of the Hellfire Gala so far, and definitely my favorite this week. But we've also got two other issues to go over, and these are also some pretty solid ones. Honestly, this is probably my favorite week of the Hellfire Gala that we've gotten so far, but I'm just going to go over these briefly. So first up here we have New Mutants, issue number 19, written by Vita Ayala and Alex Lins, and this one honestly didn't tie into the Hellfire Gala that much. It mostly just used the gala as the setting for some different like plot points in this ongoing series that progressed in this issue. I used to be a buyer of New Mutants ongoing, but it's been a couple issues since I stopped getting it. We see a plot point going on with the mutant Wolfsbane, who has been trying to get her son resurrected. So that's another aspect of Krakoa, is that ever since they have this island, they're able to resurrect any mutant after they die. So she's been trying to get her son to be resurrected for a long time at this point, and for whatever reason, the resurrection team has not been able to do that. Meanwhile, Warlock, this sort of robotic, companion to Douglas Ramsey, but Warlock has been feeling left out, kind of excluded. He hasn't been hanging out as much with Douglas, because ever since Ten of Swords, Douglas married an Arakan mutant. There was something that had to do with that being like one of the competitions that had to take place in Ten of Swords. It's been a a long time since that came out, so my memory's a little bit foggy. But Warlock gets a motivational speech from Warpath and just telling him to go say hi to Douglas and his wife, and they turn out to want him to hang out with them. They have a lot of fun through the rest of the Hellfire Gala. And that's pretty much all that this issue was. It was just a fun one. Like I was saying, not that much actually happened, and it didn't have that much to do with the Hellfire Gala. The gala was more of just a setting for it, but it was still pretty interesting. Although I haven't been reading this series lately, I still understood all of the plot points that were going on, and I wouldn't recommend this one for the actual Hellfire Gala if you're trying to get the important scoop on everything, because it was more just a regular issue of New Mutants, not a Hellfire Gala tie-in. And then the last issue of the gala this week was X-Corp issue number 2, written by Tini Howard with art by Alberto Forche. So I was not expecting to like this issue at all. It was probably the Hellfire Gala issue I was the least looking forward to, but it deals with the business side of Krakoa. So obviously that's an important part of Krakoa. Ever since they've been selling these life-saving drugs which can cure different diseases like cancer and other things to different nations around the world, Krakoa's been making a lot of money off of that. So with X-Corp, we're seeing the business side of things with Monet and Angel, these two different mutants, teaming up together to create X-Corp and launching this new business. So it doesn't sound like it would be an interesting series, but I honestly really enjoyed this issue. Despite not even having picked up number 1, it kind of already filled me in this issue on everything that I needed to know from that one. And while I didn't understand everything, there was still some good banter in this issue, and it was honestly pretty enjoyable overall. We just see Angel and Monet's points of view, these two different mutants, Angel of course being one of the founding members of the X-Men team, but they've recently gotten approved to start this X-Corp business to really keep track of all of the money in Krakoa that's circling around. And they're the official 2 members of this board on X-Corp, but they're trying to hire some more people to be members of this official board. I think they need 5 in total, one of them being a chairperson. So throughout this gala, they're just trying to hire different members for this official X-Corp board. This issue actually overall kind of reminded me of X-Force, how the X-Force team is basically security behind the gala, while this X-Corp team is just like the business side. So throughout this issue, we see a schedule of all of their meetings with different people at the gala. They never stop, business never stops, because they're even having these meetings with the different diplomats from different countries during a party when they should just be enjoying themselves. But same as New Mutants, I wouldn't actually recommend it for the Hellfire Gala. The only issue you actually need to get this week that is really important, if you've been getting any X-Men stuff for the last few years, is the Planet-Size X-Men number 1. It's one of the 4 issues that are highlighted in red in the official Hellfire Gala checklist, meaning that it's just one of those 4 that actually are the most important. So 3 of those 4 have actually been released at this point. We've got 2 more weeks of the Hellfire Gala after this. I'll be doing reviews of both weeks, so keep your eyes peeled for those videos. But next week we get Sword number 6, which is the final, more important issue you're supposed to read. My theory is that that one is going to follow the Sword Station 2, the one that's hovering above Araco, and how this Sword team deals with having 2 different stations. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of this gala. At this point, I think we have most of it out of the way, though. The most important announcement about Mars is completely done. So that pretty much wraps up this week's reviews of the Hellfire Gala. That's week 3 completely done. We had 3 very good issues. And I always give you guys a rating, something out of 10 for these, single issue, in this case, 3-issue review. So for all of these issues in total, I'm actually going to give it the 10 out of 10. Mostly because a couple of those issues, the New Mutants and X-Corp ones, I thought I wasn't really going to like, but they ended up being really good. Despite not tying into the Hellfire Gala that much, there was some great banter, them meeting different characters at the Hellfire Gala, and the Planet-Size X-Men issue was absolutely astonishing. I really liked the artwork. The writing was great, just this whole lead up to how they shaped Mars and changed the atmosphere and everything to make it livable for these Arakan mutants. And if you did like this video at all, make sure to subscribe. That's the big red button, which is sitting right below this video. You can also hit the notifications bell, which is sitting right next to it. You'll be notified every single time I post a new video if you don't want to miss any. I definitely didn't just add that in while I was editing. And also comment down below what you thought of this video, what you're thinking of this huge announcement with the Arakans on Mars at this point. Let me know down in the comment section below. So that's everything for me for today. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Bye, guys.